Okay, here we are. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Scott.
So welcome to the sneak peek into our Revolutionize Your Sexual Connection content. We are going to be launching a small group limited to 8 couples with our Revolutionize Your Sexual Connection content. And we'll talk about at the end what else is going to be done there. But we want this free sneak peek webinar to be a standalone. So we're going to give you some good tools tonight that are going to be useful to your marriage and your sexual connection. It's just a piece of what we do in our 6-week.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you guys here today. My name is Tanya and this is Scott, and we're with Marriage Architects. And yeah, and we have our cute glasses.
Mine says, "I love you."
And mine says, "I know." So but we're really excited because sex is something that's very important in marriage, sex and intimacy, but it's also something that a lot of people don't talk about, and they don't give you, and so a lot of us are like, how can we revolutionize our sexual connection or make that stronger, once we're married and have children and have life going on. And so that's really what we want to do tonight, is give you some tools to help you in that area.
We came up with this content from our own experience. I mean, we actually have pulled from Tony Robbins, Esther Perel, Dan Savage. I don't remember the one that's Your Sex-Starved Marriage. That I can't remember.
The book, the author.
But for us, this content here, not just what's in tonight, but the whole group, is what, it's part of, at least a major part of what saved our marriage.
Yeah, and then we've actually used it with our one-on-one clients, our couple clients that we help, in that area of sex, because it's something that, like I said before, when you have life going on, you get married, everything's exciting, at least it was for us. And then we had one kid and, things got really busy with one child and a career. Then we had 2 and 3 kids, and life just got crazy. And we realized that our sex life had become somewhat transactional. It was like, we gotta do this. And well, that's kind of how I was, because
kind of an afterthought.
Yeah, just busy with life and trying to be a mom to the kids and try to be a wife and get everything that I needed to get done on my to-do list. And it was kind of down there on the end. And
it was somewhere in the to-do list, but not at the
top. Because you never get your to-do list all the way done.
That's just where I wanted to be, in the to-do list.
Yeah, just really romantic. So what we did is we were like, this can't be it. And we went on a mission to find, okay, how can we increase intimacy in our relationship and our sexual connection? And we found that there was some information out there, but a lot of people didn't talk about it. It was like, you get the sex talk in school, and then, there's a few books out there, but there wasn't really a lot of information. So we've pulled from many sources, and this is, something that we've come up with. And we've interviewed some of the experts in it. We have, used it in our own marriage. We've used it with several clients, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, this stuff is amazing. And that's what we want to hear you guys say, because sex is a big part of marriage. I know that when I was in, the transactional phase, I was like, just like, we'll get to it someday, or it's not that important, but it really is an important part of marriage. There's lots of things that are important in marriage, and this is one of them.
Yeah, somewhere between the diapers and the last kid, the youngest kid gets to grade school, that's a lot of stuff that just is chaos, and we lost track of each other during that time. But then once the kids were all in school, we were like, okay, wait, who are you again? And there was a disconnect, and it just wasn't coming natural anymore. And then, like Tanya said, we were looking for answers. And how many, maybe we're not the only ones, hopefully, but have you ever gone to a couples weekend, and then they have the sex talk on the agenda, but then what if you're like us, we got to the sex talk and we're like, really, that's it? That doesn't really help us. It was like either boring or just like not really useful, not practical, not like, okay, how do we use this tonight? I mean, that was a bunch of good,
theory.
Stories.
It was theory.
Yeah,
and then I remember we were at one marriage conference and they were doing the sex talk and we were all excited because we're going to get some good information. And I was like listening to it and I look over and Scott's asleep. He's head bobbing during the sex talk. He's like,
it was really
and it was so boring. It was so boring. And we're both like, I'm like, that's pretty bad. And I looked around the room and it was pretty much the same thing. And it's something, that we want to help couples improve it because our goal is to help couples, have their dream marriage. And this is one part of it. It is one part of it that there's not a lot of support out there, and a lot of people are, they have some shame around it, which is totally, that society has put on it, and we don't want you to feel that way because it is a big part of the relationship. And so we want to help you guys tonight with this area of your relationship. So let's get started.
Let's look at the agenda here. All right, so here's what we're going to go over. First of all, if you stick with us till the end, we have a free gift for everyone. All right, so stick with us. But then here's what we're going to go over. A brief overview of what Marriage Architects does. So we're pretty much marriage architects right here. But what do? We work with couples, we do workshops, we do small groups, we do retreats. So what do we do? And then we're going to get you the content that you came here for. How to cultivate desire and how to increase sexual polarity and what are the doorways into sex. We're going to dive into each one of those topics a little bit. And then, like I said, I want to tell you a little bit about the workshop that's coming up. If you want to be one of our 8 couples, we have an offer for you out here at the end. Anything to add?
No, that's it.
So a little bit about what Marriage Architects does and what we do. So we created a curriculum that we've researched a ton. And we look for science, we look for psychology, we get informed from all sorts of places. But one of the things that we do is called the relationship disciplines. And we don't have time to go over the relationship disciplines here tonight, but I wanted to point out that if you do these relationships disciplines, give unconditional love, have absolute vulnerability with your spouse and with yourself, believe positive intent from your spouse, give freedom and forgiveness, and just use honorable language all the time, and cultivate the erotic, you will have an amazing relationship. If you do these things well, you'll have an amazing relationship. If you don't do them, though, then you won't. And here's the thing. Most couples aren't doing these things because they take an intention. They don't necessarily come naturally. Once you put some intention to it and once you start really trying, putting some effort into it, these things can revolutionize your entire marriage. And we're, like Tanya said, we're all about the dream marriage. And dream marriage is really what we found is the key to fulfillment in life, not whether you're in a relationship or not, is growth and contribution. If you're helping something grow and you're contributing to something, that's the greatest fulfillment. It's basically giving outside of yourself. What we found is a marriage is a fantastic place to do that. So if we're doing that to each other, like I want to see her grow and I want to contribute to her and see her be the best she can be and live out her purpose. What's keeping her from being her best? How can I help that? And she's doing the same thing to me. That's a dream marriage. That's where I'm finding fulfillment from seeing her thrive and she's finding fulfillment from seeing me thrive. And we're both doing this, and it's like a snowball effect, right? If I grow, I have more to give to her, and the marriage begins to grow. She grows, and then she has more to give to me, and then the marriage just really comes alive, which makes me grow. So it just can go and go and go. And the tendency, in fact, the law of thermodynamics says that most things, or if not all things, degrade over time, and that includes relationships. This is the antidote to that.
Yeah, if you don't put intention into a relationship, it will degrade. It's where you focus your energy, that's where you're going to see change. So if you're not putting any intention or any energy into your relationship, then it's going to go stagnant and then it's just going to start to decline. And we've seen it with many couples. We saw it in our own relationship. We almost ended our marriage because of it. And really, you have to put intention. And I know with having we'll go over this we go over this more in detail in our groups, but with having kids and, both having careers, it can take some work, but with our tools, it's definitely will enhance your life rather than burden it. So,
and so this piece of the curriculum that we're giving you tonight is a part of a bigger picture, and this really is what we think covers the path to connection, intimacy, and fulfillment. Of course, sexual connection is a big part of this, but we teach this content, again, in workshops and retreats and one-on-one with couples: attitude, awareness, acceptance, awakening, and attraction. So each one of these has a lot to unpack. And again, this is not what we're here for tonight, but we want to give you this overview so that you can't just take sex out of context, right? Sex, it's a part of a thriving, fulfilling relationship. And if you're missing, like I said, any of those parts of the relationship disciplines, if you're missing a good attitude, if you're missing an awareness, like I can't take her in the bedroom and have a great time with her if I have zero awareness of what her needs are. So awareness is a part of everything in our relationship. Certainly it has to do with sex, but it's outside of that too. Awareness of her feelings and thoughts, my feelings and thoughts, so I can communicate that with her.
Yeah, our society has made, there's like this camp of sex being just physical. And it is partially physical, but it's also very emotional, especially for women. And, it's a big mental thing, and it's also spiritual. And so that's something that, we really want to help couples with, is grow their, emotional, spiritual, and physical relationship. And sex is more than just physical. You see a lot of people today going out trying to fulfill a need by having sex with a lot of different people, or they're just having sex, but there's no connection. And it's because they haven't, worked on the attitude or awareness, acceptance, and the awakening. And I will tell you that once you do work on those, like, it's some of the most mind-blowing sex that you will have.
Ooh,
and because that's something that, we've proven in our relationship, and also with many of our clients who are like, I never, had sex for so many years and never had sex like I'm having now. And, and that's because it's not just a physical thing. There's so much more to it than the physical part.
Such a good point. Yeah, and then we talk about acceptance. So attitude, awareness, acceptance, that's really the core, the heart of our curriculum. And then the awakening is, once you have that foundation of the first three, awakening is really just finding this wholeness and this healing and this just like being completely free. What we want to see is, we want to see people get free from all the junk that they've had in their past. And that's the awakening. And that body, soul, spirit connection is a part of that. And then attraction, of course, you can't have a relationship curriculum without talking about attraction. We're actually going to talk about some of that tonight. So let's jump right into it. So here's a weird thing, right? This is a paradox. You look at that picture and it doesn't actually, can't actually happen, right? It's not real. It just doesn't go. What about that one? Which comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? What about this one? The blue button is true, okay? The red button is false. So which one's true, which one's false? It's impossible to say, right? So here's a definition of paradox, and I love this definition. It's so funny because in relationships, there are so many things that seem absurd or contradictory, but then when you put them together and you investigate a little bit more and you explain it, it may prove true. So that's weird. There's a lot of paradoxes in relationships. I want to give you one. And this is one of the keys to having a great relationship, is understanding there's so many things that just don't make sense. When you have male and female, when you have people from Mars and Venus coming together trying to make a relationship work, you're going to have things that don't make sense, right? So give yourself a break, first of all, and just realize, okay, yeah, there's stuff that doesn't make sense for us. There's stuff that doesn't make sense for you. We're all on the same page there. But what happens is, if you manage this well, if you say, okay, these two things are at odds with each other. Now, what do we do about it? So stop pretending they're not, and then treat it with some flexibility, some open hands. So we're going to evaluate love and desire. And I don't know if you came to work tonight, but we want you to get something out of this. So hopefully you have a piece of paper, draw a line down the paper. If you don't, just imagine it, okay?
You can always just use the note section on your phone too.
Have part of your note be the left side of the paper and part of your note be the right side. So whatever you got, whether it's your brain, paper, or phone, let's do this. So on the left side of the paper, you're going to write down your immediate associations. So don't think about it too much. Just when I think of love, I think blank. When I love, I feel blank. When I am loved, I feel blank. And in love, I look for. So I'm going to give you just a minute to think about what your associations are with love.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Write what comes to your mind. Cheers.
What kind is this?
Evolution Red.
Not too shabby. Okay. So now on the other side of the paper, write down your immediate associations with these statements. When I think of sex, I think. When I desire, I feel. When I am desired, I feel. In sex, I look for. I'll give you about a minute on that one. Okay, and if you need more time, this is homework. By the way, if you want to get this slide deck, just email me at info@marriagearchitects.com. Ask for the slide deck. I would love to send it to you. And then you're going to discuss the differences. So you each have done this, you and your spouse. Just reflect, on love and desire. I kind of think about these things a little differently. And what did you get? So discuss your differences. So that'll be homework for you. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, and this is a judgment-free zone, and so it can be. I know for Scott and I, it could be tough sometimes because we come from extremely different, different backgrounds and different thought. We're very different. If you do any personality test, anything like that, we're going to be on the opposite sides. So the spectrum.
And I'm definitely more on the perverted scale. I'm way off the charts compared to Tanya.
So what I recommend, we like to joke too. We both do have a sense of humor. Mine's just a little bit better than his. Just kidding. Anyway, so try not to judge your spouse for what they're feeling, what their thoughts are, because really working through this process, you want to get to the ultimate goal. It's, nobody's right or wrong here. You want to get to the, getting through this and a place of understanding. And so don't judge, just write it down, talk about it, and be like, okay, it's interesting.
Yeah, talk about what if you see something that looks a little shocking to you. Like if we have a couple who's like looking at their spouse's paper and seeing something that they didn't know, like when you think of sex, you think of that, like that might spark or trigger a source of judgment.
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
Well, what you want to do is, definitely talk through it and just be like, oh, that's interesting. Why do you think you feel like that? and find out more. Always ask questions instead of like, oh my gosh, like, unless it's of course like something dangerous or, illegal. That's a little bit different. We're assuming that when you come to this webinar and like, that you're coming with a healthy background and that's free from, we should have stated this in the beginning, but from abuse and, there's differences when you've had like sexual trauma or something like that. That definitely needs to be worked out, with a therapist. And so we would definitely refer you to that. But if it's just a healthy, you've got a relationship and it's just a normal thing, like, when we did this, Scott had something on there and I was like, what? Why would you, and then I had to like kind of back up and be like, okay, so why do you think you feel like that? Or why do you think that? And then it was interesting just to talk with him and find out more about it. Right. Mm-hmm. And then it actually brought us closer because there was a place of understanding and acceptance. Yeah. And it actually increased our connection. So
I think that's the key is part of this exercise is to communicate acceptance. And when we feel accepted by our spouse, then that just blows the doors off of, because what's the huge hang up for most sexual relationships is, shame or fear of being judged, and if you can get these open conversations going, it changes everything. And, just because I have something on my list that Tanya doesn't, on my exercise here, that Tanya doesn't associate with, first of all, remember this. If your spouse has a need or desire that's different than yours, does that mean they're wrong? No, that just means they're different. And is that okay to be different? Can we be different? Is that okay? And if the answer is a resounding yes, of course it's okay. We're from different planets, and that's okay. So if you can understand that, okay, I see that difference there, and I understand it. I don't have that same feeling, but I get you, and I accept you. Oh, that's huge. If we could just get couples to do that, oh my gosh, game changer right there.
Yeah, instead of like this whole right fighting thing where everybody has to be right, and this is how we should all feel. And do you want to be right in your own court of law that you have in your own mind, or do you want to be happy and connected and fulfilled in your marriage? I had to make that decision, and I wanted to be happy and fulfilled. And that meant that I couldn't always, be right in my own, my own mind here, because that's really what it was. It was like, I'm right and you're wrong. And I, and that gets us nowhere. So just discuss and, for clarity and understanding, but it's definitely something that we work through and give people tools in our coaching process on how to, be different, because we have been together for 26 years, married for almost 20. We have 3 children, 8, 10, and 14. So we've definitely had a lot of life experience, a lot of relationship experience with each other, and a lot of different seasons of marriage and seasons of parenting. And we are very different. But yet we definitely adore each other, love each other, and we've worked through all of these things.
Cool. All right, so let's look at this paradox. Again, start over here on the left side of the screen where it says familiarity. And this is where we told you a little bit about our story, and we found ourselves in, again, that between diapers and the youngest kid gets to kindergarten, first grade. That's a fuzzy time. And we got
survival.
Yeah, it's just survival, right? And you kind of lose that connection that automatically happened in the early days. Well, there's a familiarity, right? We were well functioning. We we're both high performer, entrepreneur, business owners, coaches, and so high functioning is not an issue for us. High performing is not an issue for us. Getting things to gel and work together is not an issue. That's all familiarity, and there's complacency with that. Complacency is one of the relationship killers. Do not let complacency happen. you gotta, this being at this webinar is anti-complacency for you. So great job there. But familiarity, complacency, and the mundane, it really, it can't stay there, right? It's not a bad thing to be familiar. And again, this is a paradox.
Yeah, but it's like Groundhog Day. It is. And have you guys ever seen that movie? If you haven't, go watch it. But it's like the same stuff over and over. And just one day somebody's like, I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. Like it's transactional, mm-hmm. And that's what our relationship had become, is very transactional. It's very high functioning, very, we were doing life well. But it was boring. It was boring. We didn't have a connection. We didn't have a true intimacy.
A lot of certainty, but no variety.
Yeah, and we were just like, are we gonna keep doing this? Like, it was literally Groundhog Day. We were on like a hamster wheel, and we needed off, because you can only be on a hamster wheel for so long, or one of you's gonna, one of you might be okay with it. But somebody is bound to get off, and you're both like, and then usually that one person that's going on that hamster wheel super fast, like, what do you mean you weren't happy? Mm-hmm. And that's something that you definitely, definitely want to put intention into, because you don't want to get stuck on that Groundhog Day hamster wheel, or you'll be, it's like it's a relationship killer.
I'm getting shuddering just remembering that time. But anyway, so we discovered that that's a key. Like, you can't just stay there, because as it says there, that leads to decreased desire, and this is an issue. I think that there's this myth that desire just goes away in relationships. Well, there's a high level of divorce to prove that. Mm-hmm. But what if it's not? What if it's a myth? What if it's not the norm? What if it's not necessary? So here's how to do it. You got to have some otherness, some separateness. There's got to be a difference between where she ends and I begin. Like, if we can't tell who's who, like Jerry Maguire says, you complete me. I mean, that's just BS, right? Jerry Maguire is a great romantic movie, but it's not true. You got to have two people that can come together, two fulfilled people that come together, and they create a fulfilled relationship. You got to have some separateness. And I don't know if you can see the image here, but the little guy here is like breaking free. And again, we're about freedom, but there's got to be some autonomy. There's got to be some separateness. And because when you do that, when I see her from a distance, now I'm like, oh, if I'm right here, I can't see her. But when I see her from a distance, when I let her go out with her friends, not like I let her, when she goes out with her friends, and I see like how dolled up she gets and goes out with her friends, and she's out there being herself, and I see her from a distance, that draws me. That's the attraction that was there when we first got together. So that increased desire comes from that separateness. And then when the desire increases, I want to get close. And this works both ways. It doesn't matter if it's me or her. I know that a lot of times, right when I'm like, if I have a business meeting, I get dressed up in a suit and I'm headed out the door, a lot of that time's a trigger for her to like, she wants me right there. And I'm like, dude, I gotta go. Why right now? But it's because she's seeing that separateness. She's seeing me in my element. And so you get close, that's intimacy. Unfortunately, the intimacy lasts too long. You get familiar and you get certain and you get all this complacency again. So you got to be intentional about not parking it at the familiarity side. You got to keep going around the circle. You got to have close and far, and just keep doing that. Again, managing that paradox. So here's some keys to how to unblock sexual desire, because a lot of us are in this place of, yeah, cool, I get the merry-go-round, but I got nothing for desire. So we're going to cover masculine and feminine. Here's the typical feminine. How about, do you want to do the feminine? I'll do masculine, or switch it around?
Either way. Which one are you feeling tonight?
Why don't you take the feminine?
I'll do the feminine. All right. So the state of letting go, surrender, I'm all that matters. And you've got the psychological block, which is the critical voice. And I know as women, we have that critical voice that's always telling us, we're a lot of times it can be, you know, not good enough. I'm failing at what I'm doing. I don't, you know, I didn't get everything done, so I can't, you know, I don't have time for this. And it's because we're in this, you know, social role of being a caretaker. We're taking care of all these people, like, especially if you have children and then you've got, you know, a home, and if you've got a job outside the house, or you don't have a job outside the house, you're taking care of your house all the time. You're always serving and taking care of others. And then you feel like your husband comes to you and is like, hey, let's, you know, or like slides his leg over in bed, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Like, I just laid down to, you know, go to sleep. I am maxed, and the last thing I want to do is take care of one more person. And that happens. And really what you have to let go of is that you don't have to take care of him. Like, if you do what we will be teaching, you come to it and get what you need from the sex and from the intimacy and the connection. Like, you're gonna want to be close because you're gonna have, you know, the mind, body, and spiritual connection with him. And then the one, you know, I'm not good enough, I, you know, want to be perfect, I want to look like, you know, this bikini model, or whatever your, you know, thing is, or you're like I've had babies, so I've got stretch marks, my boobs aren't as perky as they used to be because I nursed for how many years. All those things that come into your mind that are telling you you're not good enough, really what you need to do is be like, you know what, I'm hot, I look good, my husband wants me, I am the turn on, instead of, you know, putting out this false picture. Because I can personally speak to this. I have been someone that has, you know, gone through many phases. I've gone through 3 pregnancies, and definitely wasn't, like, especially with my 3rd pregnancy, I wasn't one of those little tiny people that didn't look pregnant. I looked like I was having twins or triplets. And in fact, one of my friends was having twins, and I was bigger than her, and she was farther along than me. And we were having some great sex during that time, weren't we? Like, because I was like, oh. And then I've gone through phases where I've actually, you know, been in bikini competitions and been at my best, but not felt it because I had that I'm not good enough. And I've been through all of it. And really, you know, you just have to be accepting of who you are and know that I'm hot. Like, you're all hot. Like, own it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and that's also, you know, really good for your sex life to have that confidence. And you're like, I am the turn on. And the last one is, it's all about me. I want. And, you know, you've got this psychological block, which I've already talked about, which is to please him. But really, and then the obstacle is, you know, especially if you're conservative, or you know, grew up in a home where they told you, like, that's bad, don't talk about sex, you know, don't do this, don't. And, you know, you want to be proper, reserved, you don't want to be considered, you know, a slut or something like that. Like, I have people all the time that it breaks my heart because they come to me and they're like, well, you know, my parents told me this, and it's just put this block up in their brains of, like, what, you know, if they are having sex with their husband, that somehow is making them, like, not you know, is like a sin. And it just breaks my heart. But really, you need to let go of that. And, you know, you're in a healthy marriage, and, you know, be like, you know what, I'm coming to this, we're 2 fulfilled people, we've got a connection, and we are coming together to have this, you know, sexual connection.
Yeah, and if you look at the left side, the state of letting go and surrender, that's where you want to be. But the society or religion or the culture keeps us on the right side. So we want to be on that left side. So when she says, and it's not true, right? It's not all about her. But when because we have a family, right? It's another paradox. There's stuff that's going on too. And so it's really hard for her to think just about herself. But when she does, when she owns it, and she's like, I want it. This is what I want. And, you know, it might just be a back rub. Hey, I need my feet rubbed right now. Get on it, dude. And when she has that kind of confidence, I mean, just imagine when a woman puts aside all of those societal demands or family demands and owns her own body and sexuality, body, soul, spirit, it's hot. And I don't care, what she looks like. When a woman owns her sexuality, it's, it's like a magnet to a man. So that left side is where we want to be. I'm all that matters. I'm totally hot. I am the turn on. It's all about me. I want what I want. When she's there, watch out. So same thing for guys. We have a totally different set of what we need to stay in and the challenge with being there. So I'll go one at a time here. So she's turned on and I'm satisfying her. When we own that thought, when we believe and we to our core that she's turned on and I'm that satisfying element for her, that's the best. We have that confidence. It's amazing for her if I've got that confidence. But what's keeping me or guys like me from that is we're worried she's not being pleased. If we're worried she's not being pleased, it's keeping us out of owning our own sexuality. And the obstacle, that social role, is the protector. Like, I gotta protect her. Like, it's really hot in the bedroom for me to just own her. Like, she wants to be ravished. She wants to be taken. And if I'm dealing with this, if I have that predatory instinct, it's a very exciting, very hot. But if I got this protector, I can't hurt her, she's a delicate flower, it totally goes away. So that protector can be a challenging
because it goes against how we don't want to take care of one more person. So when you're, I know that when he is more I can tell he's holding back, and then because he's concerned how I am feeling, it's I feel oh great, so I need to
just
take care of it. Puts pressure on me, and I got one more person to take care of, and I don't want to take care of anyone else. I'm done for the day. I want to be taken care of. And I think that a lot of people will be oh well, that goes against everything society teaches, but actually it doesn't. Whenever we talk about this in groups, people are all the women, and these are strong women, these are doctors, lawyers, CEOs, stay-at-home moms of 5, 6 kids. They're yep, that's me. I don't want to have to, I just want him to go for it. I do not want him to hold back and be worried, constantly worried about me or talking is this okay? Is this okay? Because then it's, it's equivalent as your kid being Mom, look at what I'm doing. Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me?
Which is obviously not hot.
It's not hot. It's no, just go for it. And that's what, it's pretty incredible when they do.
Yeah, so on the left side, guys, this is, and ladies, this might not make sense to you, but for us guys, she's turned on and I'm satisfying her. If this is my mindset, she wants it, she needs it, and she likes it. I'm the man, I got the skills. That's going on in our head. If we've got that going on in our head, you're going to be happy, believe me. You don't have to necessarily identify with these statements like us guys do, but those statements are guys where we want to be. That we are just we're confident. We know that we've got it. We know that we got what she wants. So we want to keep our head in that space, right? And stay out of the psychological block of fear of rejection. If I ask her for sex, she might reject me. First of all, wrong premise. Just go get it, take her. And then that comes from that obstacle of the predatory fear. We've been just bombarded by our society, and especially, the media is just horrible about men are predators, men are dangerous. I feel sorry for our sons that are growing up in this time of era. It's worse than it was when I was a kid, that they just hear that the men are predators. You better watch out because, they're just out to get a woman every time. They're just going to take her, And in a safe relationship.
Yeah, when you're in a marriage,
Yeah.
and it's a safe, healthy marriage, as we stated before, we don't condone rape or non-consensual sex or anything like that. So please do not twist that. That is completely, not okay. You're in a healthy relationship, healthy sexual background, then it's pretty incredible what you can do. But we do have this society message, and we are parents of a teenage boy, and it's pretty scary for men out there these days in this respect, because not all men are dangerous. There's some really good guys. My husband is a great guy. My son is a great person. He's a great young man. And I know lots of amazing, men that are husbands and fathers. They're stand-up people. Those people aren't the dangerous ones. There are dangerous ones. But there are also dangerous women that take advantage too. So it goes on both sides. So really, the guys are dealing with the fear of rejection. And so they're trying to be really careful and make sure the woman is getting all her needs. And you've got, these women that are like, I just want someone to take care of me for once. And,
I don't want to have to think about it.
I don't want to have to think about it. And I don't want to have to have that pressure. Am I going to, have an orgasm? Am I going to do this or do that? And have him wondering the whole time, because that's getting in your head and that's a block.
So bottom line with this information here is there are so many societal, religious, cultural messages that have been screwing with our heads since we could listen. So it's so important. A lot of what we cover in our workshops is mindset stuff. And this is all mindset. This is psychology. It's like reversing the lie I've been believing all this time that, it was just a huge breakthrough when I realized that she didn't want to be thinking about it. She didn't want to answer the question, can I have some? She just wants to be taken. And again, it's in a safe relationship. We love each other. Pretty much have your way, dude. If you've talked through this stuff with your wife, guys, she's just waiting for you to take her. There's some times when she'll say,
it's not all the time. I'm like,
but pretty much, she doesn't want to be taking care of another kid. Don't be her kid, be her man, right?
Be a husband and, be that guy that's there, because otherwise like I said before, it's like, don't want another kid. I love our kids, but not in that way. And we want a husband, and I don't want to have more pressure on me, because I think a lot of times what I've found for myself and for a lot of my, my female clients that I work with is, these guys are feeling rejected, but these wives, what they're feeling is they're just at their point of, deflated. They're completely, they've been taking care of people all day at their job, at home, and they're just done. And that's why they say no. And then, your husband's like, want to have sex? Want to have sex? And you're like, no.
Can I have a cookie?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Where's dinner? Where's dinner? So that's, it equates to that. But again, safe relationships.
And one more thing. We're not saying guys just go use her, right?
No.
She wants to be pleased. She doesn't want to please her. She wants to be pleased. Take care of that woman with confidence, but don't hold back. So it's just this balancing act. And there's lots more to say on this. We could spend a whole night on this one. But
yeah, we do go in depth in this in our workshops and our groups on, the different techniques and ways to go about it.
Yeah. So let's go into core energy. So this is another really huge breakthrough that we had when we realized that there's these opposite energies, and we weren't feeling this attraction towards each other. This was it. So regardless of gender, you have both masculine and feminine energy. We both have masculine and feminine energy. We're going to break down what that means. Understand your own core energy and align yourself, you'll be more happy. So if my core energy is masculine, but I'm operating in a feminine mode, I'm not going to be happy. If her core energy is feminine, but she's operating in a masculine mode, she's not going to be happy. Now, we both can use masculine and feminine energy for different things, different time. But when you're together with your mate, you want to be in opposite energies. That's what creates attraction. Just like a magnet, opposites attract, right? So if she's been working all day and she's kicking butt and taking names, operating in masculine, that's cool, good for business. When she comes home, when she is done for the day, if she just like flips a switch and goes into feminine, that's going to create the attraction if I'm in my masculine state. So if you have things in common, that's a relationship. But if you have things opposite, it's where passion and electricity comes from. So we were, like, again, our story, we were in this place where we had all these things in common. We were doing everything, functionally, but we didn't have the opposites. We didn't have the separateness, and we didn't have the opposites. So those are the two things we're giving you tonight. When stressed or tired, by the way, you tend to put on the mask of the opposite energy. So Tanya's, really strong in this. When she's a feminine woman. She's just a beautiful, sexy, feminine woman. But when she's stressed, boy, does she go masculine. She's like, I got to take control. I got to take charge. I got to control it. Where a feminine energy would be more looking for the leader, wanting to surrender and be led than to take charge. So if she's stressed or tired, she has to kind of watch out for that. And and
I have a career where I do need to operate in the masculine. So when I'm working, I am in masculine in order to be able to do my job. And I didn't realize I was bringing that home, and it was affecting our relationship. And he's not going to fight me on it. So he just backed down, and it was like killing our relationship. Mm-hmm. And we have found this in a lot of marriages where the masculine and feminine energy, they've actually, like, both are in masculine, or the wife's in masculine and the guy's in feminine, which is okay, like, it's fine. But when you come to the bedroom, it doesn't work out so well, because most women core energy is feminine, and most men the core energy is masculine.
So there's no passion or desire without polarity. So this was huge for us when we discovered this truth, and we started to embrace it, and we started to be intentional about it. All of a sudden, like, we thought we were incompatible. We didn't tell you that in our story. We were just like fed up. Like, I was like, I need sex regularly. I need it more often. I need it all the time. She was like, well, I could take it or leave it most of the time. I need it once in a while. And we were just like, this was a source of contention for years. Well, it was like flip a switch once we figured this out. Once we figured out, okay, embrace masculine, embrace feminine, the rest took care of itself. Like, after 20 plus years of sex with each other, all of a sudden we're having the most, it is like a crazy, amazing, I won't go into all the details, but it was the best sex we ever had after 20 years of sex. I'm talking about, we've changed a lot as people and in relationship over 20 years. And to say that and then have the best sex ever, it was amazing. And it's just because of this truth here. So here's what it looks like. The feminine wants to be wanted, while the masculine wants to be needed. These are just the differences. Feminine focuses on everything. Masculine focuses on one thing. If there's a problem, the feminine wants to share and connect about it. Masculine wants to solve it. Feminine is more interested in safety, where masculine is more interested in freedom. Feminine is a radiant flow, which is, do you want to describe that? Or is
just
that,
like everything is it's flowing. Like, it's like kind of like a creek. Like, everything's just naturally flowing down and going well, where masculine is steadfast and steady, like a rock.
Yeah, feminine naturally loves, like, there's no question that just love flows, right? Where men, it's more respect. We just operate in the language of respect. We have to be more intentional about loving, and while women have to be more intentional about respecting. Feminine lives to nurture, where masculine lives to hunt and conquer. Like we feel more fully alive when we're hunting and conquering. Caring versus protective, intuition versus logic, collaborative versus competitive, emotional versus rational. Feminine's very go with the flow typically, where masculine's goal oriented and assertive. We got process versus outcome. And here's really a descriptor. Feminine wants to be swept away, wants to let go, and is like a storm, like a weather pattern. Like it can be sunny one moment and torrential downpour the next. The feminine is like that, and it just is, that's that flow. Where masculine, we need to be tethered. We need to be connected to our source. We need to be stable. And you see how these two things go together so well. If you've got a masculine male that is this stable force, and this feminine female who is this flowy and energetic and all over the place force. Those two things are so polar opposite, but they are also exactly what the other needs. Like I would be so boring and so stable and so like stuck in a pattern every single day of my life if it wasn't for her influence in my life. And I know that any couple who operates in these energies and their core energies feels the same, like it would be missing so much.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you look at these, you'll see like if you've had kids, or you have like if you have a boy and a girl, you can really see these, especially when they're young. But then as they're growing up, like a lot of times like society, school, different things like that, they try to tame those things. Like I was taught, I graduated college, went on a pretty steady career path, and was taught like in the masculine in order to survive in the workplace, but it doesn't work so well in a marriage. And same with the guys, they're taught, go into the feminine if you want to be a good, good in your, in your relationships, and so you can,
or just a good boy overall.
Yeah, a good boy in class. And so you see these things, like if you see in a child, and their natural instincts are, typically like this. And this is where it's, it's like we get these society messages as we're growing up, and then we think like, well, that makes me, at least for me, it was like, well, that would make me weak. I need to take care of myself, and I need to take care of, the family, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. And, and then you end up either fighting all the time with your spouse, or they end up backing down and going more into the feminine. And then you get mad as a woman because you're like, why are you taking care of me? Why I have to take care of everything? And it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you really, like when I first heard this, it took me a while to digest it because I'm a little hard-headed. I know it's hard to believe. And I was like, that's bullshit. And then I'm not doing that. And then as I thought about it and digested it, I was like, and I went deep with it. I was like, oh, that's right. And it has made a huge impact on my life, because I still operate in masculine in my job. But I know how to switch to feminine now in my relationship with my husband. And it's really helped me become, a better wife and a better lover for him. And it's just more like at peace and balance with who I naturally am, rather than feeling like something is off.
Yeah, we have lots of ways to help you. If you're saying I have been disconnected from my core energy, well, reach out to us. We would love to help you with that. So it's so important, and you will be, like it said in the previous slide, happier if you're embracing that core and learning to go back and forth, to really know who you are. So did you have something else?
No.
Oh. Okay, so we want you to evaluate the polarity in your relationship. So we won't spend too much time on this live here, but I want to give you this as homework. So evaluate the masculine and feminine polarity in your relationship. Again, this was a key for us.
Huge.
When you interact with your spouse, do you tend to lead with masculine or feminine? We found ourselves, she was leading with masculine and I was leading with feminine. We were polar, we were opposite of what we are today. Now, does your spouse lead with your opposite or the same as you? Well, for us, it was opposite, but we realized we were on the wrong side of it. And then list ways you could increase your opposite energy. So we had to get repolarized. And then when she looked at feminine and I looked at masculine, we had to really build that in. So list ways you can increase your opposite energies. Ask your spouse what makes them see you as masculine. How do you see me as masculine? How do I see you as feminine? And then embrace those things. Just a really easy one for me was I started working out. I was very motivated. I changed the way I work out. I was working out in a way to just be aggressive. I was looking to be aggressive in my workouts, where before I was sort of, just kind of going with it. So that was a major change. That made me feel embrace my masculine. So then write down a plan to build more of this into your life. So take that and do that as homework, discuss it with each other. Here's how you get polarity in sex. And we kind of touched on this before, but the feminine, you want to talk to the feminine?
Yeah, the feminine wants to be ravished, like I talked about before, doesn't want to take care of one more person, wants to be taken care of. And so guys, it doesn't mean okay, I'm going to, my 2-minute sex and get an orgasm. That is not sexy. So don't do that. It's more about take care of your wife and don't be asking every 5 seconds, is this okay?
Let me give the guys a quick tip here. So the woman wants her whole body to be ravished.
Yeah, not just one area.
Don't just focus on a hole, right?
Yeah.
So this is a whole body, head to toe. Ravish every inch of her, and that's what they're looking for.
And it's pretty incredible because something that we teach in the workshops is there's different areas of the body where you can feel and you wouldn't think of them, like the back of the knees for me is one of them, of just a complete turn on.
Unfortunately, every woman's different.
Yeah, but we have exercises in order to how to figure out what those trigger points are. But don't just go for the vagina, guys. Foreplay, it's foreplay for a reason. He's not needy, but confident and aggressive. So like I said, last thing we want is another needy person in our lives. We want someone who's confident.
Strongest impediment
is the caretaking mode. Women, wives, we're wives, we're moms, we're cleaning the house, we're taking care of everything. And then and then you go lay down, you're exhausted, and and your husband's like, I need sex now. It's how seriously? And then you just kind of roll over. It's not a good sex life.
Let me tell the guys what the gift you can give your wife. And then you, after I cover the guys, you tell them, the girls, what the gift they can give. So the guys, here's what the gift you can give your wife. She doesn't want to think about anything. She doesn't want to care about anything. She wants to completely be swept away. Now, obviously, it doesn't happen every time. Every sexual encounter we have isn't this way, but we are intentional about, I want to make her feel like she can just forget about all of the things that are on her mind, that she doesn't have to think about her body, that I'm taking care of every inch of her, and that I'm going to take her through a journey. If I can take her from, take her on a journey from beginning to end, and basically leave her there totally exhausted and, totally out of her mind and, just ready to pass out or cuddle, that's a gift to her. So
big gift.
That is what my goal is. Again, not every time, because we have a busy life. So
we have 3 children.
Sometimes it is a
sometimes knock on the door or So we definitely
quickies in the closet are still okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're not saying it has to be a long process, but there's definitely some different points to hit. And women, the biggest gift you can give your man is to reciprocate it, be present in the experience, not ticking off your to-do list and not present, and give him, you know, like positive feedback. And huge. You know, a lot of times where, you know, if you're nagging or you're just like, oh, seriously, how long is this going to take? It's been like a minute already. You know, that's not sexy. It's not good for you. It's not good for him. And so, you know, the masculine, like, do you want to hit that? Like,
yeah. So, I mean, masculine, we want to feel aggressive. We want to, it's like it's in anything, right? If I'm hitting the gym, I want to feel aggressive. I want to feel aggression. That makes me feel masculine. Well, if I can do that with my wife, and the ravisher works good for her, works good for me, and I'm just going for it. Now, I want to be receptive to some of the things I know she likes, but in general, if I'm just going for what I want, it's actually, she likes it. So there's this balance. And again, we'd have to spend a lot more time together to help you understand all that, but it's amazing. Guys, you want to feel aggressive, just embrace that. We've been tortured by society to hold back. She doesn't like it when you hold back. So we have to believe that she's sexualized, she wants it, and she likes it. If we have that headspace and we forget about all that, like worrying about if I'm too much or if I'm pleasing her or not, just know that she's in it. And again, like Tanya said, the biggest gift, ladies, you can give to us is that positive affirmation. Just like if you're there and you're just laying there like dead fish, then it's nothing, right? So we need positive. We have fragile egos. We need a little bit of positive reinforcement. When we start going for it, you know, reward that with some oohs and ahs. And strongest impediment is to be judged as too much or that the desire is wrong. So if you reinforce that thought, it's like deflating, kills that. So you know, it's a balance, right? We got to take care of each other and be aware of each other's greatest needs. And
I would say the fear of being too much, it goes for both men and women too, because I know that for me, you know, like it can take a little bit longer to get warmed up and feel like, oh gosh, like I'm too much. And too much for him.
You mean too much work? Or?
Yeah, too much work, or, you know, it's gonna, you know, it's like not as fast. And so a lot of times that's just, it messes with your head. And don't let it, like, be present in the process and be, you know, be part of it. And don't, you know, those critical voices, just you get them out of your head because they're just lies.
Yeah. All right, so last point is that there's doorways into sex. And there's sex studies that were done in like the 60s or 70s or something that said that desire leads to arousal, and it kind of had this like step by step. Well, the Sex Started Marriage talks about this, that, you know, there's doorways into sex, and it can be just willingness. Sometimes it's just saying, well, I don't really have desire or arousal right now, but hey, if you've got a need that I don't have, I'm willing here. The one to stay away from is unwilling, like unwilling to even talk about this stuff, unwilling to, you know, to be there for your spouse. That's the door to stay away from. But the funny thing is arousal, what a lot of men and women, both who struggle with desire, both find is if you take the arousal or willingness door, that desire comes after. Sometimes arousal comes after desire. Sometimes arousal creates desire. So be willing. Have a big willingness door, because a lot of hangups can be just taken by that. Be willing to have the conversations. You know, we talk about food all the time. What do you want to eat? What did you eat for dinner? What did you eat for lunch? Can you get some stuff at the grocery store? Because I really want to eat this. We talk about eating all the time. Well, why can't we talk about sex? It's just another appetite. Be willing to do that. Be willing to open that door to what is your brain say about sex? What does your body like? You know, are you willing to touch and explore? So anyway, so that's there's a lot more to that, but just want to leave you with that thought. Be willing. and arousal and desire typically will follow.
Yep.
All right, so you want more? Oh man, we have so much more to talk about.
We have a lot more.
That's why we have a 6-week group. So I want to take a moment to invite you to this. So starting next Sunday, November 4th, we're going to start a Revolutionize Your Sexual Connection group. We're going to talk about mindset about sex and intimacy. Like we talked about, there's so much mindset about it. I mean, sometimes it's just like, get out of your mind, right? We want to affair-proof as many marriages as we can.
Yes.
The statistics are, you're going to have an affair. Statistics are, you're going to have a divorce. We know that you can affair-proof and divorce-proof your marriage by talking about some of this stuff. Instead of putting your head in the sand, just talk about this stuff. We want to cultivate that feminine masculine. We have so much more to give and say about that. Spiritualize your sexual intimacy. Oh man, that's what it's all about. Body, soul, and spirit. It's not just bodies. It's not just parts.
It's not just physical. There's so much more.
Yeah, this is created. Sex is created for this amazing, it's a magical thing. There's a mystery to it, and we talk about that. The science of arousal. Like sometimes we get stuck on, oh, I don't even know how to arouse, right? Or how to get aroused, you know? So we talk about a lot of the what's going on in the brain chemistry, the body chemistry, and we want to talk about igniting more passion within, creating more eroticism in your relationship. Like I said at the very beginning, one of the relationship disciplines is this has to be cultivated. It doesn't just happen. You have to go for it. And then just have a happier, more fulfilling marriage. That's what we're going to be talking about for the next 6 weeks. Here's what it looks like. We have 6 live group sessions via video conference, just like this webinar here. And then 3 one-on-one coaching sessions we are including in this package for the group. And then ongoing group coaching, support, interaction, and accountability through a secret Facebook group that only the members are part of. So you can see all that adds up to $32.45. What we're doing is we're, for this November ends December 9th, next 6 weeks, 3 payments of $225. So really easy to get in that. Or if you want to just take care of it up front, save a little money, $600 bucks. And we only can take 8 couples. So if you're interested in this, that's a good idea to jump on it as quickly as possible. We're going to continue to sell this throughout the week until it's sold out. So here's where you go. MarriageArchitects.com, revolutionize your sexual connection with hyphens in each one. MarriageArchitects.com, revolutionize your sexual connection. Then there's a descriptor, and then at the bottom it says pay here. You just click that. And then you can enter either $600 or $225, either way. And then again, limited to e-registration. So from there, we're going to do an intake session. We'll do it via video conference with you. And we have a rate yourself exercise. So we want to give you that right away. So take a screenshot of that or quickly write it down.
And if you decide to join our group, we will send this to you.
Oh,
and we'll be doing the intake session because we're pretty thorough, because that's why we only limit it to 8 couples, and we'll only take 8 couples, so 16 people total, because we want to make sure that you get exactly what you want out of it. And that's how we can really individualize the experience per couple and meet those needs. And so that by the end of the time, you're going to be like, that was well worth it.
Yeah. We want for you what happened for us, a revolution of your sexual connection. And it saved our marriage. There's more to it than that, but it saved our marriage. So there's 2 pages. One is rate yourself. One is rate you on this.
Yeah, satisfaction with sex quality, satisfaction with sex frequency, commitment level, sharing feelings, transparency with spouse, clarity of your role, and overall satisfaction. And you want to rate yourself on a 1 to 10 for each area of your life, 1 being the worst ever and 10 best ever. And then for each area, what could take it to the next level? What's missing? What is working? What's not working? And sometimes you don't know. Like there's some of it I just didn't know, and I had to find out. And and that's what we'll help you do that. Yeah. So just be honest. Don't feel like you have to fill in the blanks just to satisfy us, because really we want to help you get more satisfaction in your relationship. So you have to be, just be very transparent with us. Yeah. And we do screen everybody that comes into the group. Just so you know, they are safe places. We've been, running these groups for a while, and they always fill up, and we always get amazing people in there, and they build community as well in terms of, we want to make sure it's comfortable.
We'll keep the crazies out.
Yeah, we do.
So thanks for staying with us through the end here. This is the gift I mentioned at the beginning. We want to give you our booklet. It's available on Kindle, but if you go to our sign up for our blog, marriagearchitects.com/blog, and there's a place to put your name and email, we'll send you our booklet here, The 6 Human Needs in Marriage, and this will help you find personal fulfillment and watch your spouse fall completely in love with you. By the way, this works. This is what I teach to individuals who are married when we're not working in couples. I teach this to them, and they can meet their spouse's 6 human needs, and they see their spouse fall in love with them, and the spouse doesn't even know you're doing it. So that's what that book does. All right, so that's it.
Yeah, and again, if you want to be one of the 8 couples in our group, make sure that you get signed up right away. Like Scott said, you can do the full payment, which will save you money, which is $600. Normally, we offer all of these things, and people pay over $3,200. But we're on a mission to help couples by the end of the year, because we want you guys to go into 2019 feeling amazing and having this connection, this, sexual connection in a relationship that's mind-blowing. And no matter what your life is like, if you've got, like I said, we have couples that don't have kids. Most of our couples have kids. Most of them have a lot of kids. And, and they've got a lot of life going on, but it can be done. Like we said, we're proof of that. We've got couples that are, experiencing this, and we want that for you as well. So you can do the one payment of $600, or you can do 3 payments of $225. But again, it's only open to 8 couples. So you want to reserve your spot right away, because otherwise you're going to miss out, because the group will run for 6 weeks, and we do not run we don't run double groups at the same time. So make sure that you let us know.
Yeah, and if there's anything else that you want to communicate with us, info@marriagearchitects.com. We'll get that, and we'll respond really quickly. Thank you for attending this webinar. I hope you got plenty out of it. And again, if you take the homework that we gave you and apply it and talk about it with each other, things are going to start opening up. So good luck with that. We want you to revolutionize your sexual connection.
Have a great night.